Assalamu alaikum. Howdy everybody. Welcome back again. Uh, this is part 4 of our learning series in managing storage devices. So on today's video, you will be able to demonstrate your hands-on skills on different ways through which to format a partition or a logical drive. Actually, we have 4 different ways. Let us see them. The first way is through Disk Management Console. The second way through File Explorer. The third way is through Command Prompt Format Command. And the last one through Diskpart. So the first two ways are actually graphical user interface. So you will use your mouse, point and click, very easy. And the last two ways are actually command line interface, where you have to type the commands. You cannot use the mouse. The graphical user interface ways. The first one is this, and this is the second one. The first one is the dialog box from Disk Management Console, whereas the second dialog box from File Explorer. Now, if you pay close attention here, they may look different, but actually they give me almost the same options. Both of these will format. For example, here, if you look to the title, it says it will format drive in, and here it says format drive in. Here it gives me an option to give a label and to choose a file system and to choose whether I want to do quick or full format. Again, almost the same thing here. File system, label, quick format. And please, those who did not watch the previous video, because we already explained what we mean by quick format, file system, this and that. So you can refer to the previous videos in our series in managing storage devices. So this we will see this in practical, but these are the first two ways, which are the GUI or graphical user interface. Now, for the command line interface, we have the command prompt. We have a format command. As you can see, we will use it. This is the first way. And also through the command line interface, but this time inside the Diskpart, we have again format command, but they are different. So we will see both of them. So the format command through the CLI or command line interface, actually we have two commands. The first command here, it's through the Diskpart. You have to be inside the Diskpart to run it. And the second command, format command, is through the command prompts. So if you pay a close attention here, there are some differences. Of course, both are start with format, but then the syntax is different. And we will explain this in the practical part of this video. Now, very important notice here before we start the practical. You need to have an administrative privilege to format any partition or logical drives for an internal storage device. Now, for external storage devices, you don't need administrative privilege. Okay, this is very important to understand. For example, if you have an external USB hard drive or USB flash drive connected to your computer, you can format it even if you are not administrator. So what we mean by administrative privilege is that you have to use an account that is administrator. It has administrative privilege. But if you are using standard account, you cannot format internal storage device partitions. It will give you an error or it will not allow you. Whereas for external USB storage devices, yes, you can format even with the standard user. So this was a brief discussion and explanation. Now we will go to the demonstration part and see this step by step in a live demo. See you there. Okay, welcome to the demonstration part. Let us start. First, I will go to the File Explorer and to see how's thing in my computer. So if I go File Explorer, this PC. Now, as you can see from here, this is my partition C where my operating system is installed. And these partitions, the one that we created in our previous videos. So please, those who did not watch our previous video, please do so, so that you know and understand how we create and format these partitions. But it seems I have here new partitions that are not formatted. For example, look to this one. They have something strange if we compare it, this one and this one and that one also. As you can see, it doesn't give me information about the size. So this means these partitions are not formatted. They are created, they have a drive letter, but they are not formatted. If you remember, we said we have to do 3 tasks: initializing, partitioning, formatting. The last step is formatting. Until you do all these 3 things, you cannot use your partition. Now, what do you think, gentlemen, if I try to go inside, for example, W, and I want to save files, will the operating system allow me? For example, before I do this, if I go to any one of the other partitions which are already formatted, for example, A, if I double click, you see, I can go inside, even I can see the files, I can add files, I can work with this partition as usual. Whereas if I try to go inside any one of these, the ones that are not formatted, what do you think? Again, my question is, what do you think Windows will do? They are not formatted. So let us see. If I double click W, for example, you see Microsoft is, or sorry, Windows is very smart. It knows that this partition is not formatted and it is not allowing me to go inside. It gives me here a prompt. It says, you need to format the disk before I can use it. So here I have an option to click format so that it will format it for me. But let us assume that I say, no, I don't want to format. What do you think will happen now? Will it be inside the W or it will give me an error? So let us see. I will click here, cancel. You see, it gives me this error message. If you don't format it well, W is not accessible. You cannot go inside. And it's telling me here the reason. The volume, we said that the volume, now I want you to consider it as a partition. So the volume does not contain a recognized file system. You remember we explained this in our previous video. File system is the table that the Windows use it to access any partition. And the file system is created when it is formatted. When the partition is formatted. And because this is not formatted, so there is no file system, so the Windows is not recognizing this partition and it cannot go inside. I hope this is clear for you. So this is what we will do now. I will say, okay, you see, it didn't send me inside. It's not like A. When I go to double click A, it's easy. It allow me because it's formatted. But if I try to go inside any one of these, those who are not partitioned, it will not allow me. It's telling me that you have to format. So let us now start formatting. I think I have 3 partitions here. 1, 2, 3, 4. They are not formatted. And we will see the 4 different ways to format. Let us start with the disk management way. So let me close this one. Then I will go to the menu and I will start typing the command disk mgmt.msc, and I will press Ctrl Shift Enter. It asks me for administrator password. I will provide my administrator password and press enter. Yeah, excellent. So I will maximize it. As you can see, again, for those who did not watch our previous video, please do so, because we fully explained how to use disk management console. But for time being, let us see which partitions are not formatted. I think these partitions we formatted last video. And how do I know that? You know, there is a word here, FAT. This means this is formatted with FAT 16. Here it is FAT 32. Here EXFAT. Here NTFS. Here EXFAT. Here NTFS. So all these partitions and logical drives are okay. If we go to the first hard disk, my original hard disk, I see. These are the 4 partitions that are not formatted. How did I know that? Because of this word. It says here, raw. Raw mean it's not formatted. Here again, raw, raw, raw. So we need to format all these 4 partitions so that I can benefit from them. So let us start with the first, and from the disk management, how to format. Very simple. You go to the partition that you want to format it, then you right click. When you right click it, you have an option here to format. Simply click that one. Now this very simple dialog box, it asks you to give it a label. So for example, I will give this a label, work. Then it asks me what is the file system. If I click this, you see here, it gives me 2 options only, NTFS and FAT32. Now, let me see what's the size for that, by the way. Yeah, file for this, is, what is that? Yeah, this one is almost 10 gigabyte. So again, if I right click, format, again, I will give it a label, work. You can choose any label actually, but for example, let's assume I want to save work data on this partition. So I simply give it a name, work. Now in the file system here, my question is, we learned from the previous videos that we have 4 actually file system. We have FAT16, we have FAT32, we have EXFAT and NTFS. But why only shows me 2? What do you think? Of course, it is not showing me FAT16 or FAT, simply FAT, because if you remember, we said FAT can be only used for partitions whose storage capacity maximum 4 gigabyte. This is by Microsoft. Actually, it is 2 gigabyte by standard, but Microsoft, as we discussed, they allow us up to 4 gigabyte. But this partition is 10 gigabyte. So that's why it's not showing me here FAT16. But why is not showing me EXFAT? EXFAT, we can format up to 2 terabyte. If you remember, we discussed this. It shows me only NTFS and FAT32. Actually, there is no reason why it is not showing here, other than this is a limitation from the GUI. So what I mean is that if you want to format it with EXFAT, you can format it, but you have to do it from the command line interface. So this is one example why IT people need to learn the command line, because there sometimes we have some option not available through the GUI, and this is just one example. But for this time, let me just format it as FAT32, and here I have option if I want to do a quick format or full format. If I want full format, simply I remove this tick mark, then I press OK. But let me just choose quick so that it doesn't take time. Then simply OK. It asks me here, it gives me a warning message that formatting will erase any data on that. OK, I accept. Excellent. You see now it works and it opened File Explorer for me, and now you see it give it the label, also the file system here. So from the command disk management, it's very easy to format any partition. Simply go to that, right click and format, and then choose whatever you want and give it OK. So this is the first way through disk management. So now let us format the second one, which is F, from the File Explorer, not from the disk management. So let me close that one. Now if I go to the File Explorer and then go to this PC, now let us see where is the F. I want to format F. Yeah, it's this one. So this is the second way. From the File Explorer, look, I am in the File Explorer now. Very simple again, right click, and you will have an option here, it's called Format. But look what will happen now when I click Format, because I am not an administrator. I am logging to my Windows as a standard. So look what will happen here. Actually, it gives me a prompt to provide administrator password. Maybe you don't see it on the video, but I see it. So I have to provide administrator password. Then I click here, yes. Then it gives me this dialog box. Without administrator, you cannot format, because this is an internal logical partition, internal storage. So again, although it looks like different than the disk management, but almost give me the same options. So the most important is the file system. So if I click that one here, again, you see it give me FAT and FAT32 and NTFS. And here I can provide a label, and here I can make a quick or full format. Again, if I want to format it exFAT, I have to use the command line interface. But for now, let me choose NTFS, and the label here, I will call it, for example, family. So I want my family member to save their files on this partition. Then simply I say start. Again, the same, it gives me a warning. Are you sure? Yes. Excellent. You see, it finished and it opened it in File Explorer. And I say OK and close. Now, if you can see now the logo or the shape of the icon for it's changed. Now it shows me the size, everything. Now it has the label. Again, the same thing for the work because it's formatted. Now I have still two partitions to be formatted, but I will do this through the command line interface. So let us start. I will run the CMD, but again I have to run it as administrator. Simply I can click here or Control Shift Enter. Then here it asks me for administrator password. I have to provide that one. Excellent. This is my, now let us see the third way from the command prompt, not from Diskpart, from the command prompt itself. Let me open this File Explorer here, and yeah, let us see which partitions we will, let us say we want to partition B. This is the partition we want to format. So what I will do here from the command prompt, the command prompt, it has a format command. This is the syntax for that one. Format, you just type format, then space, then you type the drive letter for the partition you want to format. In my case, the drive letter is B with 2 dots. You have to, all the time with the drive letter, you have to put the letter and the con together. Then space, then you have to specify the file system. How do I specify the file system here? In this way, you just type fs, you type this one, /fs, 2 dot, and then you type the file system you want. If you want it, for example, FAT32, simply just type FAT32. If you want it NTFS, just type NTFS. If you want exFAT, just type it exFAT. Okay, I wanted exFAT actually, so I will keep it exFAT. Okay, is the command complete? No. I have to specify space. I have to specify the label. How do I specify the label? You just type slash and V stands for volume label and 2 dot together. Then now I can provide the label. For example, I will give it a label private. So I want to use this partition for private data. Now, if the command almost full, the command is almost complete. If I press enter, it will format it, but it will format it full. If you remember in the previous videos, we said full mean it will check the bad sector, this and that, and takes time. If you want it quick, very simple, you just put a space and slash q. So slash q here mean do quick format. If you want full format, don't type slash q. I hope this is clear for you. Now I believe the command is ready. Format p with file system exFAT and the volume label private, and do it a quick format. Now let us see what will happen. Yeah, it gives me a warning again. Are you sure? It gives me here yes or no. I have to type Y and press enter. Yeah, salam. It's excellent. It's finished and it opened in File Explorer. And now if I go to the File Explorer, you see now it's ready here. So this is the third way to format a partition from the command prompt. Now what is left is the S partition, and we will do this on the using Diskpart. So again, I will go to the command prompt, but this time I have to go inside the Diskpart, not from the command prompt. We saw already from the command prompt, this is the command. Now from the disk management, Diskpart, we have to run Diskpart, sorry, Diskpart.exe and press enter. You see now I am inside the Diskpart. If you remember, we said the first command normally we do is to just type this. Please watch previous videos to learn about these commands. We press enter. Here it gives me that I have two hard disks, disk 0 and disk 1. Now, if you remember, the partition that I want to format, it was in disk 0. So let me just make sure I will open the disk management again to make sure that to show you. Again, I will provide. Yeah, I want to partition the last partition on disk 0. On disk 0, the last partition, this one. So here I have to make sure in Diskpart that disk 0 is selected. Now it is not selected. So if you remember, we showed this in the previous videos. Cell this and then 0. Cell this stands for select disk, and then you give it the number you want. I want disk 0, so I simply press enter now. It's telling me now disk 0 is now the selected disk. So this is the disk now, it is selected. Now the partition is there. I don't need to create a partition. So I will format that partition. But in this disk, we have many partitions here. So which one is the currently selected? I have to make sure before I issue the format command. So again, I will type here list bar, which stands for list partition, and press enter. You see these partitions are the one that are in disk 0. The partition that I want is partition 8. So I have to select it. So again, cell, but this time I will bar and then 8. Press enter. It's telling me now partition 8, which is the last partition on disk 0, is selected. To make sure, again, I will run list bar. Yeah, now how do I make sure that I am the last partition is selected? Is through this star, and we explained this again in our previous video. So now I am ready to format that partition. Now the format command inside the Diskpart is different than the command prompt. So this is the format. in the disk part, we just type format. Then we have to specify the file system. So we specify the file system in this way. File system fs equal, then you type the file system you want. I want it in TFS, for example, in TFS. Then space, and you give it a label, for example, like this, equal. This is the way format is in the disk part. And I want to give it a label, for example, school, so that we save the school files, that any school related files we will store it in this partition. Then I will simply type quick. So you see, this is the command format from inside Diskpart. It's totally different than the format command from the command prompt. But I think I am now ready to press enter, format file system. Of course, it will format partition 8 because already I make sure that it is selected, which is the last partition here. Excellent. So format with file system in TFS and the label school, and do quick format. So we are ready now to press enter. Excellent. It seems it works. So let me close that one. And it's telling me here Diskpart successfully completed the volume, formatted the volume. So simply I will type now exit from the Diskpart, and now exit once and I am inside the CMD to exit the CMD. Yeah, excellent. Now you see all my partitions are now formatted and ready to be used. This is very nice and very promising status. Do you agree with that? I hope this is clear for you. Okay, we came to the end of the today video and lesson. So in today's video we'll learn 4 different ways to format partitions, and we make a demonstration. So I hope that was useful for you, and see you in our next videos on this series. Till that time, please stay safe. All the best. Bye bye.